So in America today, across the country, a low-wage job is homelessness waiting to happen. The number of people who fit that description, working homeless, that is not like a tiny number. That's not a marginal phenomenon. A growing portion of the low-wage workforce is either at immediate risk of falling into homelessness or is already experiencing homelessness. And you mentioned that official number of people experiencing homelessness in America.
The cop car loomed, a stark reminder of the divide etched into Arizona's sun-baked earth. She approached, trembling, her clothes ripped, a silent plea for help etched on her face. But the window, a symbol of indifference, rolled up, and the car, a metal cocoon of privilege, drove away. For the affluent, the police are a shield, a guarantee of safety. For the homeless, they're often the prelude to something far more sinister, the final, desperate call before the abyss swallows them whole. In this land of relentless heat, justice feels as parched as the cracked ground that serves as a bed for so many. A stolen bicycle from a wealthy resident. The police descend like a hawk. A homeless woman beaten, robbed, violated. More often than not, she's the one facing eviction, slapped with a ticket, or thrown in jail for the crime of trespassing or camping on a public sidewalk. A sidewalk that belongs to everyone, yet shelters no one. Out here, the law isn't blind. It sees very clearly who holds the key to a house with a locked door. A door the system cares about protecting.
Well, you have your on and off days. You come out here, there's good days and you got your bad days. And especially when weather starts hitting, you got your rainy days, snowy days.
And even sunny days can be particularly bad for people with breathing problems like myself.
It gets hot, it gets muggy.
My wife has
asthma and COPD.
Welcome to Homeless Lens. We invite you to step beyond the tinted windows of passing cars, to walk the streets most people only glance at, to see the world through eyes that have known only concrete and unrelenting sun. We are here to tell the unvarnished stories from the hidden corners of America, from the scorching sidewalks of Phoenix to the overflowing shelters of Tucson, so that the voices of those living this reality are not lost in the deafening silence of indifference. Stay with us until the end, and you'll understand why Arizona's crisis is not just a local tragedy, a desert anomaly. It's a chilling prophecy, a stark warning about the fragility of the lives we all take for granted. Arizona's numbers and the lives behind them. Arizona in 2025 is more than breathtaking sunsets and desert vistas. It's a land where over 15,000 souls are adrift, without a stable place to call home. In Maricopa County, the sprawling domain of Phoenix and its endless suburbs, nearly 10,000 individuals are officially classified as homeless. While the overall increase is around 3%, the truly heartbreaking figure is the 28% surge in people forced to sleep outside. Imagine thousands of men, women, and children huddled under overpasses, seeking refuge in dried-up riverbeds, or sprawled across blistering sidewalks where even the night offers little respite from temperatures that stubbornly cling above 105 degrees. In Pima County, surrounding Tucson, more than 2,200 people face the same harrowing struggle, with families enduring weeks-long waits for a coveted shelter bed, forced to sleep in their cars in the relative safety of grocery store parking lots. In rural Arizona, the crisis doesn't stack up, it spreads out. A silent epidemic afflicting a few dozen in one county, a few dozen in another, living in forgotten washes, in dilapidated RVs that have seen better days, or deep in the unforgiving woods, hours away from any semblance of help. These are not mere statistics, they are the faces of human suffering. A mother in Mesa desperately clinging to the hope of keeping her children in the same school, while they sleep in a cramped sedan. A veteran near Flagstaff, seeking solace under the silent pine trees, praying that the night's chill doesn't sink too deep into his bones. A teenager on a bus to nowhere, haunted by the catch-22 of no address meaning no job. As you listen to these stories from Homeless Lens, ask yourself with unflinching honesty, could someone you know, a friend, a family member, a colleague, be just one job loss, one devastating medical bill, one rent increase away from finding themselves on the very same street. How Arizona pushed people to the edge. The vast majority of tents pitched on Arizona's unforgiving landscape weren't born out of bad decisions. They are the direct consequence of a cruel equation, a failure of basic arithmetic. Over the past decade, Arizona threw open its doors to welcome more than 1 million new residents. A flood of newcomers seeking sunshine and opportunity. Developers responded with fervor, erecting luxury apartments in the trendy districts of Phoenix and Scottsdale, building sprawling resort communities catering to retirees, and creating a glut of short-term rentals for tourists seeking a taste of the desert dream. What they conspicuously failed to build was affordable housing for the very people who keep the state running, the cooks who prepare the meals, the cleaners who maintain the pristine rooms, the teachers who educate the children, and the dedicated staff who tirelessly serve in the hospitals. Today, a minimum wage worker would have to toil for an impossible 70 to 80 hours per week just to afford a modest one-bedroom apartment. That's not a budget, that's a gilded cage. When the pandemic struck, rental assistance programs and eviction moratoriums offered a brief reprieve, temporarily sheltering thousands from the streets. But when those protections evaporated, landlords seized the opportunity to raise rents to exorbitant levels. Back rent bills piled up like mountains, and the bottom fell out. Families in Mesa, Chandler, and Glendale found themselves forced to sleep in their cars. Individuals with steady jobs in Tucson discovered they had been priced out of the market overnight. In smaller towns, strict zoning regulations and the NIMBY not in my backyard mentality effectively killed affordable housing projects before they ever had a chance to break ground. In the vast expanse of rural Arizona, there might be a single, overburdened shelter or none at all, one limited bus route, or more likely, none. Miss just one paycheck, and the nearest source of help could be hours away. An insurmountable barrier. Homelessness in Arizona is not simply a tale of personal failure. It's a stark indictment of what happens when wages stagnate, rents explode, mental health care becomes a distant luxury, and the safety net is riddled with gaping holes. At Homeless Lens, we share these stories to serve as a constant reminder: if the system fails enough times, anyone, regardless of background or circumstance, can find themselves on the wrong side of the sidewalk. Living outside under a burning sky. Imagine waking up on pavement so hot it could sear your skin. In Phoenix, Tempe, and Tucson, the summer heat is not merely an inconvenience, it's a relentless, deadly force. Days with temperatures soaring above 110 degrees string together an endless, agonizing chain. The very air seems to press down, suffocating and draining. Last year alone in Maricopa County, hundreds of people succumbed to heat-related causes. A disproportionate number of them were homeless, individuals whose only shade was a tattered tarp and whose sole source of air conditioning was a plastic bottle filled with lukewarm water. During the day, volunteers embark on desperate races against the clock, handing out precious ice and water to those in need. Outreach teams knock on tent flaps, their voices laced with concern, desperately trying to ascertain if the occupants are still alive and well. Some seek refuge under bridges, sacrificing comfort for the mere avoidance of direct sunlight, even though the concrete beneath feels like a scorching stove. As night descends, the temperature finally begins to dip, offering a sliver of relief. Cardboard transforms into a makeshift mattress, and thin blankets provide a meager defense against the desert winds. Underneath a rumbling highway, behind an abandoned store haunted by shadows, in a dry wash that could transform into a raging torrent with a single, unexpected storm, these are the addresses people list as home. And yet, even in these brutal conditions, acts of extraordinary resilience and compassion emerge. Strangers share their dwindling water supplies. Someone holds an umbrella over the head of an elderly man, shielding him from the sun's relentless glare. Small circles of people watch out for one another, offering a sense of community and protection that no one else will provide. Arizona's unsheltered crisis is not just a story about abject poverty. It's a testament to human endurance, a story about what it takes to cling to life, when the very environment itself seems determined to erase you. Ask yourself, how long could you last out here, stripped of the basic comforts, with no room key and no air conditioning to offer refuge? Addiction, the storm inside the heat, when all avenues of escape are blocked, when hope fades into a distant memory, pain inevitably seeks an exit. In Arizona, that exit often manifests in the form of powders, pills, or small blue bags exchanged in hushed whispers. Opioids, particularly fentanyl and dangerous concoctions laced with xylazine and other potent sedatives, have transformed corners of Phoenix, Tucson, and countless smaller towns into silent, invisible overdose zones. In a single year, over 2,000 people in the state tragically lost their lives to opioid overdoses. But behind that stark statistic lie scenes of heartbreaking desperation. A man revived on a bus stop bench with naloxone, his chest bared to the world. A woman waking up in a canal-side tent, surrounded by strangers who had bravely pulled her back from the brink of death. Outreach workers checking in on the same individual 3 times in a single week, their hearts pounding with dread, hoping that this won't be the visit where they find no pulse. Many people didn't begin using drugs for recreational purposes. They turned to them to numb the agonizing pain of a physical injury, bury the haunting memories of childhood trauma, quiet the overwhelming terror of sleeping outside alone in the dark, or simply to endure another day of relentless 110-degree heat with no shade and no hope. On the muddy banks of the Salt River, in the dark alleys of downtown, in dingy motel rooms paid for with the last few dollars. Addiction is not a moral failing deserving of condemnation. It's a desperate survival tactic that slowly, insidiously, becomes the very thing that threatens to kill the person clinging to it. Yet even in these darkest corners, sparks of resistance flicker. Mobile vans in Tucson and Mesa offer clean supplies, naloxone, and non-judgmental referrals to treatment. Groups train ordinary citizens how to recognize and reverse an overdose. Former users stand at outreach tables, offering a beacon of hope. I was where you are. You are not beyond help. Every person holding a pipe or syringe once held something else of value, a high school diploma, the hand of a beloved child, a set of house keys. If this aspect of Arizona's story resonates with you, ask yourself, what would real, meaningful help look like? Long-term, comprehensive treatment? A housing-first approach that prioritizes stability? Mental health care that doesn't require an impossible array of identification documents? The faces of Arizona's homeless crisis. Homelessness in Arizona doesn't have a single, easily identifiable look. It takes many forms, each one a tragedy in its own right. It looks like families in Phoenix and Glendale huddled together in minivans, their children brushing their teeth at gas station restrooms before heading to school. Teens and young adults in college towns couch surfing, desperately trying to conceal the fact that they have no permanent place to call home. Elders in Prescott, Sun City, and the forgotten rural counties, living in aging RVs or makeshift tents after rent and mounting medical expenses, have swallowed their life savings. Veterans in Yuma, Kingman, and Flagstaff, battling the ghosts of war, haunted by nightmares, and navigating a bureaucratic system that moves too slowly to catch them when they stumble and fall. Teachers in Mesa quietly bring extra food and clothing to school because they know which of their students slip into a cold car at night instead of a warm, familiar bedroom. Social workers in Tucson witness 18-year-olds, fresh out of the foster care system, clutching a garbage bag filled with their meager belongings and facing a future with nowhere to go. In small towns, people who once attended the same church or worked together at the local grocery store now find themselves standing side by side in food bank lines, offering a brave but hollow "I'm fine" even when it's painfully obvious that they are anything but. These are not those people, a distant and detached category. They are our people, neighbors, co-workers, relatives we haven't heard from in a while. If this were your parent, your friend, your child, how would you want Arizona to respond? Cries for help that disappear into the dark. As the Arizona sun dips below the horizon and the desert air begins to cool, a different kind of weight settles in, a palpable sense of desperation and isolation. Phones with cracked screens flicker to life for a few precious seconds. Someone calling a desperately understaffed hotline. Someone leaving a pleading voicemail asking if there's a single bed available anywhere that night. Someone whispering in the darkness, trying to shield their children from the sound of their own stifled sobs. Outreach reports reveal a disturbing surge in calls for help, but cold numbers can never fully capture the raw emotion, the underlying fear that permeates those calls. In Apache County, a woman lives miles from the nearest town in a broken-down car. Her lifeline severed. No bus service, no taxi, no neighbor close enough to even know she's there. By the time outreach teams manage to reach her, days may have already passed, leaving her vulnerable and alone. In Phoenix, outreach vans navigate under the maze of highway overpasses, winding their way through the remnants of the former zone, handing out water, portable power banks, and basic hygiene kits. Volunteers say that the relentless heat and the long, grueling hours are not the hardest part of their work. The most soul-crushing experience is when someone simply stops calling, when the phone number is disconnected, when the tent is empty one day, and no one knows whether that person has finally found stable housing or has tragically succumbed to the elements. Most cries for help are not dramatic pronouncements. They are often subtle. Understated pleas. Do you know anywhere I can charge my phone? Is there a safe place to sleep where I won't get chased off? Do you have an extra pair of socks? At Homeless Lens, we are committed to ensuring that these whispers don't vanish unanswered, lost in the cacophony of modern life. Because silence is the easiest way for suffering to continue unnoticed, unaddressed, and ultimately, unchanged. Arizona's crossroads. What kind of state will it be? Arizona is standing at a crucial crossroads, a line drawn in the sand. On one side, soaring home prices, gleaming luxury towers piercing the sky, rent increases of 30% or more since 2020, and opulent condos in Scottsdale approaching a staggering $800,000. On the other side, 15,000 people with no stable housing, families sleeping in crowded parking lots, elderly individuals clinging to survival in dilapidated RVs, and veterans forced to seek refuge on the unforgiving sidewalks. The question is no longer, is there a crisis? The question is, what is Arizona going to do about it? Advocates passionately argue for housing first, providing people with a stable, secure home before demanding that they address their other challenges. Mental health and addiction treatment that is accessible and meets people where they are, not behind locked doors and endless red tape. Real, sustained investment in affordable housing, not just temporary shelters that offer a band-aid solution to a gaping wound. Studies from across the country consistently demonstrate that when people are housed first, cities often save significant amounts of money on emergency services, jail costs, and expensive hospital visits. At the same time, every potential solution inevitably runs headfirst into fierce local resistance, glacial bureaucratic processes, and bitter political battles over limited budget allocations. And while the arguments drag on, people continue to die from heat stroke, overdose, and the silent, insidious killer of neglect. Yet, even amidst this bleak landscape, there are glimmers of hope. Tiny home villages built for veterans in Flagstaff, offering a sense of community and dignity. Converted motels in Prescott providing families with a private room instead of a shared mat on a crowded floor. Community groups in smaller towns stepping in to fill the void where government action is too slow or non-existent. If you were in charge, where would you begin? Housing, health care, wages, all of the above. Leave your ideas in the comments below. Your unique perspective might be exactly what someone in a position of power needs to hear. Walking Arizona with open eyes. As I travel through Arizona with the camera and notebook of Homeless Lens, the scenery is undeniably beautiful, but it's the stories, the human experiences, that truly stay with you, etched into your memory long after the sun sets. In Phoenix, I had the privilege of meeting Robert, a construction worker who spent his entire life building homes for other people. Then came a devastating injury, mounting medical bills, and the crushing loss of his job. His own house slipped away, piece by painful piece. When he spoke, there was no bitterness, no rage. He simply spoke of the day he might be able to work again, clinging to the fragile hope of one more chance. In Tucson's sprawling outskirts, I sat with a group of seniors in cars parked beneath a vast, starry desert sky. They shared cheap coffee, old stories about weddings and birthdays, the kind of weary laughter that comes from surviving one more month on a social security check that no longer stretches far enough. One woman quietly told me that she prays every morning, not for a house, but for the strength for everyone out here to simply make it through the day. In Tempe, students juggle to part-time jobs and demanding classes, putting on a brave face in lecture halls, then wondering where they'll find a safe place to sleep that night. In small, often overlooked places like Safford or Kingman, neighbors discreetly leave food where they know someone is camping, not because a camera is watching, but because it's simply the right thing to do, a basic act of human kindness. These poignant moments remind me that homelessness is not a separate world, a problem confined to the margins of society. It is inextricably woven into the fabric of our own communities. The difference between them and us is often just one unforeseen twist of fate, one devastating event that can shatter the illusion of security. Conclusion. What will you carry from this dessert? Homelessness in Arizona is not just a policy failure. It is a profound test of our collective humanity. Under the same sun that illuminates majestic red rock canyons and graces countless tourist photos, people lie awake on hard concrete, counting the endless hours until dawn and desperately hoping that today won't be their last. Behind every tattered tent in Phoenix, every worn sleeping bag under an overpass in Tucson, every aging RV tucked away at the edge of a Walmart parking lot lies a past filled with memories, a set of unfulfilled dreams, a person who once firmly believed they were safely on the right side of the line. The fundamental question is not why don't they just fix their lives? The question is, why have we built a system where one string of bad luck, one unforeseen disaster, can erase everything, leaving individuals and families with nothing? And yet, even in this harsh and unforgiving landscape, compassion stubbornly refuses to die. Volunteers tirelessly hand out cold water when the sidewalk scorches. Neighbors quietly check on the man sleeping behind the local store. Teachers discreetly feed children who didn't have anything to eat the night before. These small, seemingly insignificant acts are not mere charity. They are powerful proof that community still exists, that we are not powerless spectators trapped in a narrative of despair. Here at Homeless Lens, our mission is simple: to ensure that these lives are seen, heard, and never again treated as background noise. So let me ask you, if this were your neighbor, your friend, your own family member, how would you want the world to respond? If Arizona's story has stirred something within you, please leave a comment below. Tell me what part resonated with you most deeply, or what you believe needs to change first. I personally read every single comment. Share this video with someone who naively believes that homelessness could never happen here. The painful truth is, it already is. And subscribe to Homeless Lens so you don't miss the next story from America's hidden streets. Every view, every comment, every share pushes these stories a little further into the light, helping to break through the silence and indifference. Together, we can transform statistics back into human beings and convert empathy into tangible action. One desert night, one human story, one small act of courage at a time.